Welcome back. I think this is day 6 of my journaling progress. And I wanted to talk about a quote that I was thinking about yesterday. And that was education is the self discovery of our own ignorance, or something like that. But I was contemplating that all day. Education is the self discovery of our own ignorance. So many times we think that if we suck at it, it must not be meant for us. We have this apprehension of feeling dumb. But that's the start of every cool thing we're ever going to do. We start off not knowing how to make the next step, and we're learning and we're trying to grow. And the more we grow, the more we don't know. I remember as I was younger, I would learn something and I'd be so excited to share it, but I wouldn't have the tools yet to share it in a way that a person's brain worked. Let me try that again. I didn't have the tools to share the information that I learned in a way that people that didn't have my brain could understand it. My brain's not better than anyone else's, it's just different. And so I tried to explain it in what was exciting for me, but then it wouldn't be exciting for them because I was bad at explaining it. I wasn't a very good communicator. And the more I learned about communication through my psychology degree, the more I realized I didn't know hardly anything. And the more I learned in college about biology or any of these sciences or history or literature, I realized how little I actually knew, even though my knowledge was growing. The more I had gained, the more I realized I didn't know, and that there was such a vast amount of human gathered information out there that I just didn't have and couldn't have. I love learning, and learning is one of my favorite activities. But the more I learn, the more I know I don't know. Ignorance is bliss when you live in stupidity and unknowing. Just because you don't know something doesn't mean you're stupid, but you haven't had the chance to learn it. And our brains can comprehend a lot of things, but we don't have access to all the knowledge all at once. So we can say the wrong things. And if we don't have humility to take a pause and acknowledge our mistakes when they show up, and if we double down on things that could be wrong, it's going to hurt us. And so I was thinking about that yesterday, about how many times I had tasted the little bit of knowledge that taught me I knew nothing, the little bit of information that let me know that I was ignorant in some way. And when I was younger, I had rebelled against that. I pushed back against it. I didn't want to feel that because it was uncomfortable to know that I didn't know something and I was a beginner and I was a novice. But as I get older, I'm excited when I don't know something because it means I have a chance to learn something. And when I get to learn something, I get to grow it just a little bit. So many of us are scared of trying because we feel stupid at the beginning. I don't do this because I don't know how to. Or it would be silly to go to that class because it's just a bunch of kids they're teaching and I'm on their same level, if not worse. I've always wanted to go to the gym, but I don't know where to start. Fortunately enough for us, we live in a time where information is as free as it gets so far in human history. You can learn anything on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. You can buy an audiobook and it'll teach you. You can have a video walkthrough and it'll teach you how to do something. There's an app for everything. But that doesn't mean it's taken away our fear of starting and looking like a fool. I remember when I first started lifting, I started lifting in my garage and I just had a pair of dumbbells and a workout bench. That's all I had. And I had this little book that I still have of exercises that my parents had got me that shows the little bit of form and how to do the maneuver properly. And I remember thinking I knew so much. And then I got to high school and there was actual gyms and I had to work out in front of people. And I was strong, but some of my form needed tweaking. And I remember the first time one of my coaches had told me that something was a little off and I needed to change it. I was a little nervous that I didn't know what I was doing. And in reality, I didn't know as much as I could have. So my coach was teaching me. And I was used to that in other areas of my life. I had been trained at that point for 10 years in golf and having a coach critique my swing and teach me more than I knew right now. But it was interesting because it didn't fully transfer naturally to the rest of my life. I had to think about it. And I had to I had to remember that I was a beginner and I could learn and keep growing. And that's part of the process. But realizing that there's a lot of things that you don't know takes away a lot of blind spots that you have. The people that are the most sure of their worldview and their knowledge typically become stiff and stagnant with the information that they have in their heads, even if that information is no longer relevant to them, because they are certain that's how it is, because that's what I was taught. That's what I was taught. That's what I believe. That's who I am. But we're constantly learning new things. One example I just learned about was this archaeological site called Göbekli Tepe. And we learned that there's complex human civilization and architecture so many more thousands of years ago than we thought. We were moving 1,000-ton stones clear back right before the Ice Age. That's something that I wasn't taught when I was a little kid. I was taught that the pyramids were built by the ancient Egyptians. And I learned that there was writings about them finding them. We are constantly evolving our our pool of knowledge with science, with discoveries. Why would we think that our knowledge should be stagnant? I understand feeling the fear behind not knowing something. But when we feel that fear of trying something new and picking up whatever you've ever wanted to do in life, and you feel that fear push back against you because it makes you a little uncomfortable because you know you'll be starting from zero, you need to start. You need to push through that fear and do the activity with it and reframe it and let yourself know that being a beginner is admitting you know nothing or very little. And that's good. You're about to go on a journey in whatever activity you're about to do, and you're going to get to learn. And not only is that going to help you in your personal life, It's actually really good for your body and your mental health and your longevity as you age. If you keep pushing your brain to learn newer and newer things and keep loading that information, the better you're going to get as you get older. Not only will you compound that knowledge with vast amounts of experience throughout your life, but your brain will be used to working and trying hard things and learning new things so that as you decline, you will decline more slowly. I remember in one of my psychology classes, one of my professors, they compared it to having a pool of information and brain power. You take a pool, and if you lose a little bit each year from that pool, as we do as we age, you're going to have a much bigger pool to draw from. If you lose about a cup of water a day, but you only have a regular swimming pool instead of an Olympic sized swimming pool in terms of brain power and knowledge, you're going to be able to have a much more normal and functioning life later into your years if you have an Olympic sized swimming pool worth of knowledge and brain power than if you have a small tub. So keep pushing yourself, keep trying the scary things, push yourself to grow. I'm excited to see where that keeps taking me in my life, and I hope it does something for yours. But I wanted to leave you with that thought one more time. Education. Education is the self discovery. What was it? Education is a progressive discovery of our own ignorance. Education is a progressive study of our own ignorance. So keep finding your ignorance and try to learn something that makes you a little more knowledgeable and a little less ignorant. And enjoy the process because that's all this is. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Do some good in the world.